Have you ever been ghosted when it comes to interviewing for a job? You apply, you interview, and then you hear nothing. The reality is this happens a lot. It happens so frequently that it's become part of our vocabulary as job seekers. In today's video, I'm going to tell you exactly what you should do from a recruiter's perspective if you get ghosted. Let's go. Now, the sad reality is that most people have experienced some form of ghosting. About 9 out of 10 candidates expect after they interview, they're going to hear back from the people they interviewed with within a week or two. That's the expectation. But the reality is 35% of people who are going to be interviewing for a role will experience being ghosted from that interview. Now, again, to define ghosting, what it basically means is you've interviewed for a job and then you hear nothing, no feedback, no positive feedback, no negative feedback, no next steps. Instead, they absolutely ghost you. You hear nothing. Now, I would define ghosting as a period of 2 weeks. If you interview and you have heard nothing within that 2-week period, I'd say at that point, it's fair to assume you are being ghosted. So let's talk through steps of what you should actually do if you are being ghosted. So the first step is you need to wait an appropriate amount of time. If you interview and 4 days later, you haven't heard anything from them, you are not being ghosted. You are still within the window of what's acceptable to be waiting for feedback. So the golden rule here is wait at least a week before you reach out to anybody, right? So wait 1 day if you interview on, or 1 week, excuse me. If you interview on Monday, do not reach out until next Monday. And when you reach out, it is really important to reach out in a polite way. I will actually, in the description box, leave a template for you to copy and paste so you can send that email. But it's really important to one, come off as someone who is interested, but not overly anxious and polite. Those are the things that you want to accomplish. Now, the person you should reach out to is the person you interviewed with. If you interviewed with a recruiter, you should reach out to the recruiter. If you interviewed with a hiring manager that was facilitated by a recruiter, reach out to the hiring manager. That's the person you want to reach out to. Now, if you do not hear back from that person, it's been a week, you reach out, it's another week, they haven't reached out to you. The next thing you want to do is reach out to a second point of contact. Now, if you interviewed with a hiring manager, you sent them a message after a week, it's been a week, they have not answered you, then you reach out to the recruiter. That would be my next step. Now, if you don't have a second point of contact, there is not a person you can reach out to besides the one person you have interacted with from an organization, reach out to that person a second time. And that would be the next step. And this, again, it's really important, needs to be polite, courteous, not overly anxious, but more so just inquiring on next steps. By the way, if you're finding value in this video, do me a favor and hit that like button. It's free, it tells YouTube I don't suck, it helps the channel a ton, and it motivates me to make more videos like this. And if you're already willing to do that, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell. That way you never miss one of my 3 free weekly videos, all designed to help you nail your next interview, land your dream job, and maximize your career. Now, let's say it's been a full 3 weeks, right? You interviewed, you waited a week, you reached out to the point of contact. You waited another week, you reached out to a second point of contact or followed up with your sole point of contact for a second time. It has now been 1 more week. What do you do? So at this point, I think you have a few options. You can send a follow-up email. At this point, what do you have to lose, right? It's been 3 weeks, you've sent a couple, you haven't heard from anybody. It's either do this or do nothing. The second thing, and I just referenced it, is do nothing, right? So at this point, you can decide, okay, well, I'm just going to move on with my life. And at this point, 3 weeks out, several messages, it's probably fair to assume they're not going to move forward. And if they do move forward, well, it's probably going to be at a later time and they probably don't have their ish together because it's taken them so long to reach out to you. Now, the really important thing here, in my opinion, is deciding what do you make of this moving forward with this organization, right? So a few things. If it is a recruiter who reached out to you and ultimately ghosted you, this would not sour me on the organization moving forward. That is a single person. It is one recruiter, and recruiters, unfortunately, I say this as a recruiter, have the tendency to ghost candidates if they are too busy, bad at their job, a bad person, etc. Say whatever you will. I agree with you probably, right? Now, if it is a hiring manager who ghosted you, that would be different. If a hiring manager is the person you would be reporting to, right? You're a software engineer, it was a software engineering manager, something like that. If they ghosted you, that would make me feel like I wouldn't want to pursue the company. So if it's just a recruiter, I might still apply for other roles in that organization. I might still try to pursue that company. But if it's a hiring manager, it feels different to me. I would not move forward. This is a person whose job it isn't to recruit. It isn't to hire. It is to actually run their team, right? And if they are not responding to you, it's not an error in the way they bring people into the organization. It's a failure of leadership. And those things are different to me. If that was the case, then I would consider it a bullet that I dodged. You don't want to work for a person who is willing to take your time, talk to you, but then just completely let you hang out there in the wind without any feedback. If it's a recruiter, that's different. Unfortunately, that does happen all the time. And if you did enter the organization, you would have virtually zero interaction with that person. You would move past them, never to engage with them again. But if it's a hiring manager, that is actually the person you would report to, and you don't want to work for that type of person, so you probably don't want to spend any more time pursuing that organization. Now, you're probably wondering, why did this happen to me? Why did I get ghosted? I'm a good candidate. I had a good interview. I should be moving forward. And the reality is there's a lot of reasons, a lot of bad reasons, why hiring managers don't move forward with good candidates. In fact, I made this video here. This video here goes over 7 of the most common reasons that good candidates get ghosted by hiring managers. So if you want to know why did this happen to you, I would watch this video here. So I'm done here, but I'll see you there.